What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comically Boston. Today's episode 97, and we will be talking about an amazing episode of Ahsoka that takes place in a galaxy far, far away, which is the title of today's episode. And really what that title is referring to is just Ahsoka getting told a story from Huyang, and Huyang is the last and only times we see Ahsoka in this episode, which I feel like some people on the internet might be mad about. The show is called Ahsoka, and yet she wasn't really in this episode, but she was at the beginning. You can't say she wasn't in it, because she was at the very beginning. She gives us a little recap. She tells Huyang that she didn't tell Hera that Sabine, when she went to this galaxy, she wasn't taken to this galaxy, she went willingly, and she was supposed to destroy the orb, but didn't, because she wanted to be reunited with Ezra, and that also happens this episode. Some huge episode. If you haven't already seen the episode, get the hell out of here. Spoilers are coming in hot. I should have warned you beforehand, but hey, if you're watching this, you want the spoilers, let's be real. But before we get into Ahsoka, just two little quick images that came out and things I wanted to discuss. Godzilla -1 keeps getting promotional material, and this picture that came out of Godzilla and what he's going to look like in Godzilla -1 is kind of good. I like it. It's kind of got the more modern, lighting up of the blue tail and down the tail, but it's also kind of got like the old school look from like the older Godzilla movies way back in the day. So I don't know, I think this is gonna be a good movie or show or whatever the hell it is. I know there's two different ones. There's the Monarch thing on Apple TV that's gonna be a show, I believe, and this is gonna be a movie, I think. But either way, for the Godzilla people out there, I think that's gonna be really cool. Also, there was some early people have either seen the premiere or some early viewings of this movie have come out, and people's reactions so far have been pretty good. And the movie I'm talking about is The Creator, from the director of Rogue One. Interesting. And that comes out in September sometime. We're in September now, so when does this movie drop? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. But The Creator with John David Washington, and I'm not sure who else is in it, but it seems like a very, very interesting movie. It's been described as sci-fi. Rogue One meets District 9, but it's also its own thing. And the only thing that I saw from the initial trailer of this was that there was an explosion scene in the trailer that they took the Beirut explosion that happened a couple of years ago, that happened in real life, and they pretty much took the video from that explosion and used it in their promotional material for the movie. I don't know if it's also in the main movie, but I saw that on Corridor Crew, VFX Artists React on YouTube. The Corridor guys over there are very, very smart VFX artists, and they always talking about some really cool shit. And I don't know, something makes me feel weird about them using a real life explosion, right? Like, there's so much CGI and stuff in this that they pretty much used the explosion as like a base plate, and then like built around that, put a couple buildings and stuff. But it's still like pretty clear that the sound, the shock wave and stuff. I understand like what they were trying to do for the movie. They're trying to make it as realistic as possible. And how do you do that? You use real footage from real events and real things caught on camera. But I don't know, man. It just makes me feel a little weird that a bunch of people died in that explosion and they're using it in a movie for cool factor. Like, I don't know if that's like cool. But other than that, the movie's been getting good reviews. So I mean, I'm still probably gonna see it. I am a sci-fi type of guy. I did really like Rogue One, so I don't know. Maybe that movie will be pretty good. Also this week, the Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem, I believe it's called, the animated the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie that came out. I've heard good things about that as well. Haven't seen it yet, but I think that is out on Paramount Plus now, so go check that out if you're a Ninja Turtles fan. And comment below if you've seen it. Let me know what you think, because I'm probably going to be doing a movie review on that pretty soon, because, why not? Check it out. Jackie Chan is Master Splinter. Can't be that bad. They got Jackie Chan to do it. But let's get into Ahsoka episode 6. Far, far away. Whew. So the show starts with the recap. Then you get the Purgles, and we get a little shot of them flying through hyperspace. So that is where they are. Right. So Sabine and them we see arriving to where they're heading, and we'll get into where that is in a second. But they're like they're answering the question, where is Ahsoka this episode? She is still traveling in hyperspace through the whale. Obviously, she's in the whale's mouth. She's traveling, and she's with Huyang. And Sabine, Baylan, Shin, and Morgan Elsmith are arriving at Peridia, which Peridia is an old planet that was run or started or whatever, was ruled by the Dathomirian sisters, and it was a place between galaxies, right? So, and it's also known as a graveyard. So as they're flying up, you see skulls or bones or whatever in the rings around the planet are pretty much just a graveyard for Purgles or whoever. Maybe ships broken, but we see bones almost like the rib cage of these giant Purgles, which I find super interesting. But they go down to the planet, and this planet has 3 old Dathomirian sisters on it, and one called the Great Mother. So they're bringing more Dathomirian witch stuff. You know, we're at an old witch planet, right? I find this planet super interesting, and if this is Peridia and this is where the rest of the episodes are going, or where they're set, I'm okay with it, because that shit's fucking cool. But I really did like just the start of that episode, right? It started just like how most of the movies start, right? And now in my headcanon, every time I read In a Galaxy Far, Far Away, and then Star Wars, the main opening crawl starts, I'm going to think that that was written or wrote by Huyang, you know, like, because he's got all these stories in his head. But, you know, we see Ahsoka in the belly of the beast, if you would, and she's talking to Huyang, and Huyang's, well, do you have a story for me? And she's like, why don't you tell me a story? And he goes, okay, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then we cut to the main titles, Far, Far Away. So you're like, ooh. So Huyang's telling a story. I now want to hear the story he's about to tell. We didn't get to hear it this episode, so maybe that will be the start of the next episode. But this is the story, and they are far, far away. They go far, far away. They're heading to a different galaxy. I don't think we're in a different galaxy yet. We're at the bridge point, I believe, between the 2 galaxies. Right? So you get our galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, and then you have Peridia, which is supposed to be like the middle point of between galaxies. So where is this other galaxy? What is that over there? I would love to know that as well. But we are at Peridia. They land, they do their thing on Peridia. They go down, they talk to these Night Sisters. And what I find super interesting is Sabine, right, is initially in a cell, and she's all locked up, and then gets taken down to the planet's surface. And as they're sitting there talking, Baylan, Shin, and Morgan are talking to the Great Mother, Night Witch. One of the Night Sisters goes, it reeks of Jedi. And even Sabine's like, me? I mean, I'm a Jedi, I guess. If we're talking good and bad, they're definitely bad, I'm definitely good. But, like, as far as we know, we were like, Sabine's not really Force sensitive, she's not really a Jedi, but she clearly is if she reeks of Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, she has Jedi in her blood, or bones, or whatever, her Force inside of her. So I feel like we're going to see Sabine maybe take a turn for the good, but there's also a part of me that thinks we're going to see Sabine take a turn for the worse, because in the opening intro every time when they flash the helmets of blue and red of different helmets, the last helmet is Sabine and it's red. Why would they make it last? Why would they make it red every single intro, right? So, like, kind of confusing. It's like, what's going on there? I don't understand. You know, what's going to happen with Sabine? I don't want to see her go bad. I don't want to see her killed by somebody bad. I would like to see her maybe become a Jedi, you know, and be badass. But she does have Ezra's lightsaber. Ezra has been trapped on this planet, but now we know that he's not with Admiral THRAWN, and he's off doing his own thing. We'll get to that in a second. But this episode gives us the ultimate return of Admiral THRAWN, and for some people it's the first time they're seeing it. For the people that have seen Rebels like me, it's the it's the return of the Admiral Thrawn, and he looks fantastic. We see him marching up with the troops behind him, and Lars Mikkelsen, I believe, is his name. He looks great in the role. His voice is exactly the same. I like that he's blue, but he's got these bright red eyes, like, oh, it's so intimidating. But like as he walks up, he's got. So now we're all the questions we had, right? Is it just Thrawn and Ezra on this planet? Thrawn is not just alone. He has his ship. His ship is not fully functioning. The Chimera, I believe, is the name of his ship. Not fully functioning, but it also has troops on board. The troops I do like because they're not just stormtroopers. They're not just all white. They all have like different identifying markings. Or like red, like tape or rope or whatever. A couple of the guys have gray helmets, gray parts of their helmets. A couple guys have gold marks from somewhere. We get this one real good-looking stormtrooper that's just real interesting with this gold face. This is Enoch, which means Enoch is the Hebrew meaning dedicated, trained, disciplined. So he's his most dedicated right-hand man. Like he's like the captain of his troops is named Enoch. I kind of like that. I like the design of him, at least. The gold, that little face. The face of that helmet reminds me of the golden face from House of the Dragon. You know what I'm talking about. Or the crab feeder. Like it reminds me of that for some reason. But it's weird seeing a stormtrooper with a nose. Now that I'm really looking at this picture. But I mean, I don't know. I'm still into it. What I'm more curious about is that if they were supposed to be trapped on this planet, where's this gold coming from? Why is it getting molded into helmet pieces or whatever? There's still a lot of questions, but this could have been the finale, but it's not. We're episode 6, so we still have 7 and 8, so we still have 2 more episodes to go of some real juicy stuff. It's gotta be, right? Because you gotta have Thrawn. You now have Ezra and Sabine are together, right? You still have Ahsoka having to come into play, so like, it's craziness. The Purgle are gonna enter the atmosphere. And Thrawn goes, eliminate them with prejudice. So you start to get how menacing a threat he really is. He's, in control of everything. He's got his troops, but he's also got Morgan Elsmith. He's also now got Baylan and Shin. Baylan, he knew who Baylan was. Baylan was a general for the Jedis, right? So, like, what the fuck? Some interesting dialogue, though, between Baylan and Shin in this episode. Baylan was talking about the Jedi Temple and talking about the Jedi Order and stuff and talking with Shin. And he said to Shin, I want you to be something more than the Jedi. You were trained to be more than Jedi, right? Like, she's trained to be what the Jedi should have been, I guess, but also not necessarily full darkness, but not necessarily light either. So she's killing and doing all types of crazy shit. But we see Sabine was in a cell because of the Night Sister, and now he was like, there's a prisoner. Why wasn't I informed of this, right? Because he wants to know all the information ahead of time. And the Night Sisters were like, we didn't know. So Baylan goes, I brought the prisoner there. Sabine Wren. I figured she would be of use to us. And he goes, that's a familiar name. She will be of great use to us. Brings her from her cell, right? So now she's been sitting in a cell. She now walks up to Thrawn. She's sassy as fuck, which I love. Natalie Lou Bordizzo. She's been fantastic as Sabine. I really like her. And they give her something to ride. They give her weapons back, her guns and her lightsaber. And then they give her a howler, which is pretty much a wolf dog type of thing with like this weird like crocodile mouth, if you would, you know what I mean? Like it's got more like a snapping jaw than like a bark, you know what I mean? Like bark bark. No, it's more like like he's got like jagged teeth hanging out, but he seems like a good boy. Not all the howlers, just this particular one. He does leave her at first. She encounters a group of like bandits and she defeats them. But the dog the howler initially takes off on her, and then we have this quick little scene that probably goes on for too long, but it's still kind of funny. Rewatching it, it made me laugh again. The dog, she's like, no, you left me, look, go back. And the dog just kind of like walks away, walks this way. Sabine walks this way, and then you see the dog kind of like catching up behind her. And finally she's like, okay, well, you better not leave me again. Okay. And he scratches his head and then gets on him and then starts riding again. Goes, what do you smell? You smell something? Let's go. Then they come across, they become buddies, her and the Howler, right? Because THRAWN lets her go, but then goes to Baylan and Shin. Hey, and he gives her the last known whereabouts of Ezra. So Ezra's not with THRAWN. Ezra's out on this planet somewhere. So I gotta know how he ended up not with THRAWN, right? Because he escaped somehow. He did something. He didn't have his lightsaber, right? So he escaped, and now has been traveling with this group that we're about to find out. And this group is like a rock snail, right? Like, so you know how snails have their shell, but then they can crawl in there, like they can hide in the shell when they're in danger, but then they come out of the shell and they kind of crawl around. So they're rock people that when they stand up, they still have the rock on their back, kind of like their shell, but then they're like these little creature people things, you know, like, and they don't speak English, but they're, you know, they have some kind of way to communicate, and they know who Ezra Bridger is. So Sabine and the Howler now follow these little rock creatures back to their little rock village, and who do they fucking find? Ezra fucking Bridger, bearded up, long hair. He's wearing some type of chainmail type of outfit, like he's got this armor on. He's got these bright blue fucking eyes, which I love. Definitely, you know, the comparison between this guy with blue face, bright red eyes, normal human face, bright blue eyes, right? Like the good, the bad, you can really tell that Ezra's a good boy, and I can't believe he's been alive this long, but he has long hair, he's older, like, he goes, I knew I was counting on you, what took so long? And she's like, well, you didn't tell us where you were going. And he goes, well, it worked, right? It did work, like, because he took off thinking it would work, but he didn't know this was going to work. Luckily it did, but he is on this planet. THRAWN here is going to Baylan and Shin. Hey, you are tracking. He sends Sabine to find Ezra, knowing that she probably will. Sends Baylan and Shin to find Ezra and Sabine, right? So now they're supposed to be following her at their own pace. So in the next episode, I think we're going to find Sabine and Ezra together with these rock people. Maybe Baylan and Shin will show up, kill all the rock people, or we're just going to have a 2-on-2 fight between Ezra and Sabine and Shin and Baylan, which I wouldn't be mad at either. But we also have Ahsoka is going to be arriving next episode with a pod of Purgles. Maybe we're going to see a bunch of space whales die. I don't want to see that at all. So, I don't know. Maybe they're going to show up. Ahsoka's going to pop out the mouth, fly down to the planet, start fucking shit up. I don't know. But THRAWN still has this massive ship, and he said at the end of the episode that he goes, Knight's mother, I'm going to need your assistance again. I will need your dark magic. Right? So he's been using dark magic or whatever, and the Night Sister, Night Mother, whatever, said, we are but a humble servant. Right? Like, it has been stated. It is the way. Like, it is the fate, or whatever she says. And that is so interesting to me. Like, this wasn't necessarily my most favorite episode. I thought it was slow at points. But I love that THRAWN's back. I love that Ezra's alive. I love that he's back with Sabine. I love that Baylan kind of has his own, like, agenda here. Because, right, Baylan at one point is talking to Shin and goes, you can't feel it? There's something here calling to him. Right? And they want to get off. The Night Sister and THRAWN want to get off this planet. And Baylan's like, why? Why do they want to get off this planet? Because there's a power here that they don't understand? Well, maybe it's a power that he can understand. Maybe it's a Jedi power. Maybe it's that type of power that they're not Force sensitive. You know, Night Sisters are questionably Force sensitive, but they're more magical sensitive. But maybe something here on this planet the Jedi can use. There's a power, though, that resides on the planet that we have not been disclosed. So I'm curious on what that means. And this is also like a former planet of Dathomir. So immediately my first thought was maybe Darth Maul corpse or something, or maybe Darth Maul's people, like his, you know, the horned individuals. Maybe there's an army of Darth Mauls here. You know, maybe there's Darth Maul himself has been cooking up something evil. Maybe there's something else going on with these Night Sisters. There's some great evil or great force power here at this planet. Maybe fucking the Emperor's somewhere on this planet. Who the fuck knows? All I'm saying is that I find it super interesting, and there was certain dialogue and certain moments in this episode that were like, ooh, what the fuck is that? Like, we gotta know more. But comment below if you have any more information or anything you want to ask me about this episode, or you want to talk about this episode with me. I am totally down. At me on Twitter. Comment below. Hit me up in the comment section. You can at me at my email for this channel that I have now, at comicallyboston@gmail.com. No at the beginning. That's the email. comicallyboston@gmail.com. Hit me up on there if you have questions or comments or anything you want to say to me. I really appreciate everyone that watches these videos, and anyone that's watching Ahsoka right now. Comment below, how hyped are you for the remaining 2 episodes of this series? How have you been enjoying the first 6 episodes? Me personally, I've really been liking them. I did think this episode could have been much more with THRAWN. Like, I don't know, we could have maybe gotten Ahsoka arriving sooner, but I don't know. I still like the way they did it. In Dave Filoni right now, I trust. So, I'm in his hands. But we got Ezra back. We got Sabine with Ezra, so Ezra's not in captivity anymore, so that's good. At least we have these two together again. They've always been good at causing trouble and getting into trouble, and they've always been good together, as long as they stick together. We gotta listen to Hu Yang. Stick together, please. Do not split up again, because that will be bad. The last time they split up, Sabine and Ahsoka split up, and now look what happened. Now we have THRAWN back. Great. But I guess that's the whole point of the series. It was to have this heir of the Empire back. Because honestly, I like THRAWN as a villain more than the Emperor, to be perfectly honest. Like, he's just, maybe it's just he's new, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's just newer. I haven't seen him as much as the Emperor's fucking old ass, but I don't know. Watch the Emperor show up again in this series. Like, he just can't, you never can get away from him. It's either Order 66 or Emperor Palpatine. Like, come on, give us something different. Which I like is what they're doing now. You know, we get Ahsoka, we get the THRAWN, we get Sabine, we get Ezra. You know, it's kind of Rebels Season 5, but it's also Ahsoka's own show. Like, that shit with the World Between Worlds last episode was fucking fantastic, right? So, I don't know. I don't know, but I like it. And I would love to know what you guys think. So comment below. Follow me on Letterboxd, Twitter, Instagram. All my links in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.